student leaders in the marching band. This is Dwayne Huff with Band Leadership Seminars and Band Leadership Online. And in this video, I want to answer a question that came in from a student who's a section leader. I don't know which section, he didn't disclose that, but he's a section leader and his best friend is in his section, constantly giving him grief and a salty attitude, constantly calling him out for the things he's doing wrong, and not respecting his authority as a student leader. And he asked me, what do I do? So I want to address that here in response to this particular student and to serve everybody who might be dealing with similar issues. By the way, for those of you who aren't familiar with my work, my name is Dwayne Huff, Band Leadership Seminars, and I'm a 9-time student leader, 6-time drum major in the marching band space. That's not to impress you, but to impress upon you that I've made a lot of mistakes as a student leader, and I went on a journey to figure out what are the right things to do as a student leader so I can come back and give it to you. And so if you'll excuse me here, what I'm going to do is look at the comments that this particular student asked me, and I'll tell you this, I'll give you the backstory. It says, this was in response to a video that I did, and I'll link to it below this video. It's called Band Leadership, How to Balance Friendship and Leadership. And so this student watched that video and he asked me this question. He said, actually, Dwayne, the issue I've been having over the past 2 months is this. One of the people in my section has been disrespecting my authority and has been telling me what to do, chastising me when I do something wrong, and trying to punish me for mistakes that I have made. This particular individual also is my best friend, which makes the situation all the much harder. I've attempted to explain to him that as soon as we enter the practice field and the band needs to get moving, the needs of the band outweigh our friendship. We can very much still be friends, but in the class and on the field. The band comes first. His behavior hasn't improved, and I've been working on my own to see if I may be the problem, but I haven't recognized anything that I'm doing as an issue. Do you recommend anything for this particular situation? Yeah, so here's the thing. I'm not going to disclose who that person is by name because I think this is relevant and applies to a lot of people. But what do you do if you have a friend, a best friend in your section, and you're trying to balance friendship with relationship and leadership, and they're constantly giving you grief, chastising, calling you out, and making your job difficult, disrespecting your authority as a student leader? What do you do? and if you're self-evaluating and saying, I don't really see anything that's wrong with me, it's all them. There's a couple of things that I want to break apart here for this student leader, but also for everybody who's a leader. Let's break this apart piece by piece. Number one, as a student leader, if you're under the misconception, the delusion, or the misguidance that you as a student leader are in a position or have any authority, strike one. I don't know who led you to believe that you have any level of authority, but you're not in a position of authority. You are a student. The only person in position of authority in that band program is the band director and or the staff that they've hired to work with you as students. You're a student. You have no authority. Now, I understand where you're coming from. You've been given responsibility to be a student leader. And the second thing is this, your friend, your best friend. Listen, if you have a friend like that, you don't need enemies. But if you instigated it, then you're starting to feel the effects of what you've sown. So again, I'm not trying to be harsh here, but I'm going to be very blunt and very real with you because I don't want you going through the rest of your marching band season delusional about what's going on. I'm not saying this is your fault, but I'm saying there's a way that you can deal with this effectively. First and foremost, I think you did the right thing whenever you said, hey, you know, we're friends, it's cool, we're great. But whenever we step into that band situation in rehearsals or practice, where the case might be, we need to make band the priority. Not saying, hey, our friendship is shadowed or the band outweighs our friendship. Strike two. You just told your best friend that they're not as important as band. And I don't care who you are and who they are. That's not going to sit well with human beings on any level. And then them chastising you for the things that you're doing wrong. There's a couple of things going on here. So let me back up. Let me pull this apart and let me share with you. First and foremost, if you've been coming to the table or into the situation with a sense of authority, entitlement, a sense that you can tell them what to do and make them do certain things, then that's, like I said earlier, strike one. Your job, your role, your only role as a section leader, even a drum major, is this. You are hired to serve the band director, the drum major, the leadership team, and your section. You were not sent there to control anybody or give anybody maybe directions, maybe leadership and guidance, but you weren't put there to tell them what to do. Okay. And if you do that, then you're going to get immediate resistance. And if you tell people what to do or what they're not doing or how they're doing it wrong and how they should do it better, all of a sudden you just open yourself up for scrutiny and reciprocation of them doing the same thing to you. So the reason your best friend is probably calling you out on every little thing they see is because they're aggravated, they're bruised, and they're hurt. There's an old saying that says hurt people. And so you approach this whole thing wrong with your friend. So here, let me just remind you of a couple things here. Number one, you're there to serve. What does that mean? That means every day when you show up in the band, your number one goal and objective is to make sure first and foremost that everybody in your section has what they need to be successful. If they need the music, if they need a pencil, if they are confused about some of the music and need help with practicing, if they need questions answered, whatever it is you can do to make their life easier, their band experience more enjoyable, that's job number one. Number two, your job is to reconnect with your band director, make sure you understand the vision and the roles and responsibilities that you have as that section leader. The third thing is to make sure you're part of the leadership team. That team should be a united front, no individuals in that team. We all have to be a united front for what the band director is looking to achieve. And then finally, your drum major. Drum majors have a very difficult job. They are trying to oversee, be the go-between between the band director and the rest of the band and the leadership team. So there's a lot of responsibility there. There's a lot of scrutiny. There's a lot of judgment. There's a lot of gossip. There's a lot of people that do not like what they do, but they've been called to do a specific job. Now, am I saying that the drum major is more important than you as a section leader? Absolutely not. You guys are equivalent, in my humble opinion, as far as leadership role, right? Because again, your primary job is to serve and to set the right example and to set the right attitude. So let's back up to your friend. How do we mend this fence so that this chaos or this pushback or this chastising goes away? The first thing you need to do is take a little time and just consider, what am I supposed to be doing here? How can I serve better? How can I give better? How can I lift people up? How can I motivate people? How can I encourage people to be their best? And if I see, and here's another thing, your friend might see themselves as a leader and they might be a little bruised that they're not in your position, and that's okay. But if they show leadership tendencies, then it's your job to take them under your wing. Don't be threatened by that and to mentor through that process. Because I don't know if your best friend's the same age as you or if they're younger than you or maybe even older than you, but mentoring and guiding and leading other leaders to become better influencers in the band is always a good thing because you create a culture and you leave a legacy. So how do we mend this fence between you and your friends so they stop calling out every little thing that they think you're doing wrong? First of all, go back, really consider, where your heart is and how you're going to serve your band. But then approach your friend one-on-one and say, hey, look, I think I got off on the wrong foot here. I had the best intentions, and I thought this is my job and this is what I'm supposed to be doing. But now that I look at myself and I reflect upon myself, I realize that I approached this the wrong way, especially with you. So I really hope that you can forgive my arrogance, and I really hope that you can forgive me for trying to be an authority. I realize that I don't have any authority. I'm just trying to do what's best for the section. And so please forgive me if I was overzealous. Can we start again? And say, you know what? I'm so glad you're a part of my section because I need a lot of help in this situation. I'm still figuring out. I'm only human. Are you with me? Can you help me to make sure that I do better? And then as soon as you get your buy-in, because you will, as soon as you get that buy-in, say, speaking of which, is there anything I can do to help you? Is there anything I can do to make rehearsals better for you? Is your music okay? Is everything okay? Is there anything I can do to help you? The principle that you're activating in this particular situation is one of reciprocity. Is you get what you reap what you sow, right? So if you sow positive, you're going to get positive back. If you sow negative, you're going to sow negative back. If you sow conflict, you're going to get conflict back. If you sow saltiness, you're going to get saltiness back. If you sow patience, you get the picture, okay? And so what you just activated by humbling yourself. Now, I used to hate that word humble Whenever I was a leader, many times the band director would say, Dwayne, you need to humble yourself. And I'm like, stop telling me that, right? Because I thought humbling myself meant that I should think less of myself. Later, one of my mentors pointed out to me, Dwayne, it's not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. And by humbling yourself and going to your friend and saying, hey, you know what? I'm my bad. I made a mistake. I got off on the wrong foot. I'm excited about this leadership position. I'm trying to do what's in the best interest of the band and the section. And it's hard to balance that with friendship. And I did the wrong thing. I came at you. I was trying to exercise my authority over you. I was trying to tell you what to do. And now I realize that's just not the way to approach it. Can you forgive me? And again, tell them, hey, can you help me out? Now, here's the principle that you're activating when you do that. Think about it this way. If I came at you, like, let's say we're sitting in a seminar, right? And you're there in the audience, we're having a great time, everything's going great, you're enjoying the seminar, I'm having a great time teaching you, and then we take a break. And then I say, okay, guys, be back in 5 minutes, right? And I hope my wife's there to get, we're having a door knock here in the middle of my session. You got it, Renee? Yeah. All right, cool. Squirrel. Anyway, so if we are taking a 5-minute break and I come back in 5 minutes and you come back in 7 minutes and the rest of the band comes back in 7 minutes, and I get a little aggravated. If I start the session after we took the break and I look at you guys and said, hey, we're running a little bit behind here and I'm gonna try to catch us up, but you know what? If you guys would have been here on time, we wouldn't be behind. I mean, as a human being, what are you thinking in that moment about me? You're thinking, oh my God, what a jerk. I'm not listening to anything he has to say. In fact, I'm gonna pick up my phone. I'm gonna check out on him. I'm not even gonna pay attention. But if I humbled myself and I came back after that break, and even though I knew you were the one who was late, if I took the responsibility for the mess up, and I said this, hey guys, you know what? My apologies. I lost track of time. We're running a little bit behind and I'm going to do my absolute best to catch us off. Please forgive me. Are you with me? What is your tendency now? Your tendency is probably like, no, bro, we got it. It's cool. Let's go on. We're going to get there. You might be thinking, well, Dwayne, if I didn't make a mistake, why should I apologize for it? Yeah, I know. I had the same question when I was sitting where you were. The reality of the situation is that part of our job as leaders, as real leaders, is to own the responsibility for things that go wrong and go well, whether we did them or not. Now, let me clarify that, because if there's some band directors watching, they're like, wait a minute, Dwayne, here's what I mean by that. If something goes wrong with the band or in our section, instead of pointing fingers and saying, it's your fault, or going to the band director saying, they did this, own it. Say it's my fault. We will make it better. And if you guys succeeded and crushed it and the band director's like, hey, that was a phenomenal job, don't just jump up and say, oh, yes, that's because I'm their leader. That's not what I meant. What I meant is give that credibility and own it for your team by saying, thank you so much, Mr. Band Director. These guys are awesome. You see, whenever we can make our section, the band, the drum major, the band director, the entire team, the most important thing there, we help create a culture by example and by attitude that shows everybody how they should behave, how they should follow suit, and how they should treat each other. I think where it came back to bite this particular student was they got overzealous, like so many students do, about leadership, like I did. And they went in there trying to do the best that they can do. And the only way they knew how to do that was to tell people what to do and to get aggravated and mad whenever they didn't do it, instead of taking a deep breath. Here's something that was very powerful that I heard that has served me since, and I hope it will serve you. In the heat of the battle, when things like that happen, when your friends chastise you, you're pointing at everything you did, they're not respecting your authority, right? And you're tempted to get mad at them and say, what's wrong with you? The wisest thing that you can do as a leader in that moment, when you're tempted to say, what's wrong with you? Is to take a step back, take a deep breath, hang out for a second, get your composure, and simply walk up to that person with a smile on your face, a very genuine heart, and ask them, is everything okay? Now think about that for a second. If I walk up to you and say, hey, what's wrong with you? What is your tendency? You're going to be like, what's wrong with you, bro? Come at me, right? But if I walk up to you and I say, hey, are you okay? You're gonna be like, oh yeah, man, everything's cool. No problem. I'm sorry, my bad. They're gonna take ownership of it, right? Because when we accuse, people fight back. When we take ownership, they support us. So if you were to walk into your section and say, hey guys, we're in rehearsal and you guys are messing this all up, get in line and do what you're told, or I'm gonna tell the band director. All of a sudden, you've just created a mutiny against yourself. Pirates back here, right? You just create a mutiny against yourself. Everybody is going to be against you, including your best friend. But if you will accept responsibility and say, hey guys, I know it's chaotic around here on rehearsal. I am so sorry. I'm not setting the right example, but I'm going to change that right now. Are you guys with me? All right, let's do this. All of a sudden, you rally people to you. So instead of telling people what to do or being in charge, take care and serve those in your charge. And it's so difficult as student leaders to understand the right thing to do in the moment because as Dr. Tim is famous for saying, what we're asking to do as student leaders, you're not capable of doing. What he means by that is that the prefrontal cortex of our brain doesn't form until we're 23 to 25 years old. So you've got about a decade to go before that actually happens. And that part of your brain is responsible for making these decisions in that moment and fully understanding how it's going to turn out 5 minutes, 5 days, 5 years from now. So whenever you understand key principles like the ones that I just shared with you about humbling yourself, accepting responsibility, taking responsibility even if it wasn't your fault, causes people to rally with you. But blame will always cause people to rise up against you or mutiny. So I know that was a little direct and maybe even a little harsh at times, but first and foremost, understand, number one, you can balance friendship and leadership, but you have to be the one to give respect and honor the friendship, right? Realizing you're not in a position of authority. You really do have no authority. I mean, you're a teenager and you're in the band program. The only person with authority is the band director and the staff that they've hired. You've been given responsibility, and that first responsibility is to lead by example with the right attitude, taking initiative, and being the model student that you want the people around you to imitate, right? And so for anyone who's watching this on the replay, if you're a student leader and you have further questions about that, or if you have any questions, you see, I'm answering this. I've never met the student. I don't know who the student is, right? But they dropped a question on my YouTube channel, by the way, which is youtube.com/band leadership. Go there, subscribe. There's tons of videos that are free, and it'll answer a lot of the questions that you already have, right? And I will be doing a live Q&A session this Saturday, every Saturday in marching band season. I'll drop the link below that you can log in. It's at 10 a.m. Central. If you're a student leader, you are more than welcome to join me. All you have to do is download the app or the software, zoom.us. You'll see the link and it'll ask you to do that. You can attend on your phone, on a computer, on a tablet, and all questions are fair game. And if you get there and you raise your hand and I say, okay, you have a question, you're right there on the screen with me if you want to be, and I'll talk to you directly one-on-one. Everybody will get to hear it, but I'll talk to you directly. If you aren't that bold and don't want to get on the screen with me, all you have to do is drop it in the chat in the live Q&A. Again, that's Saturday morning, 10 a.m. every Saturday during marching band season. I'll drop the link below in the comments. But here's the thing. If this helped you and you got value from it, join the conversation. Drop a comment below, ask a question, share this with a fellow student leader in the band or even your band director, and let me know what you think. And let me know your thoughts. Maybe you disagree with me. Maybe you agree with me. Maybe you're experiencing something similar. I'm here to serve you. That's my first priority. And remember, until we talk again, you can inspire superior performance amongst your peers. You just got to be willing to, number one, serve them. Number two, humble yourself. Number three, take the initiative. And number four, set the right example that you want others to follow. Because remember, your responsibility is not to be in charge. It's to serve those in your charge. Have a great day, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.